I don't know how Peter felt as he made his way with Andrew to find the Messiah for that first encounter, but I do remember my own first encounter, even though it was many years ago. The previous evening, I had seen a priest on TV telling all of us that we needed to not just go to confession, but to run. He'd had a near-death experience and had come back to give this message. I take those kind of things seriously. Even though I was a non-believer at the time, I did end up in the mall looking for the chapel, in spite of the fact that it was New Year's Eve, and I did somewhat run over. I didn't know at the time that confession was considered an encounter with Jesus. It was my first one as an adult. And that evening, I was at home and I did nothing, and yet I felt something momentous had happened that afternoon. And that evening, even more so, did I feel that everything important was happening without my lifting a finger. And I knew I'd go back.
We walked through town looking for the Messiah. When we found him, he was in conversation with a small group. He turned around just as we were coming up to him. Andrew tried to introduce me, but he interrupted him and spoke directly to me. "You are Simon, the son of John. You will be called Cephas." "You're quiet." I'm thinking, yeah, he's not what we expected. Definitely not. For one, I didn't expect to have my name changed. I don't know, it kind of fit with the whole thing, I thought. So you thought that was normal? How can the Messiah be normal? I'm not talking about him being the Messiah, I'm talking about him changing my name. He shouldn't have done that. Why not? The Messiah can do what he likes. He doesn't know me, so why the name change? I don't know. What did you think of him? You mean if he's the Messiah? I haven't got that far in my thinking. What name did he give you? Will you forget the name thing? Not until you tell me what name he gave you. He didn't give me one. Simon, let it go. It's not important. Come on, he called me a rock. What's that about? It's obvious. I'm surprised you can't see it. Well, I can't. So tell me. I want to know. No one is more stubborn than you are. Wanting to know what this signifies doesn't mean I'm stubborn. Okay, fine. But give me one reason, apart from that, why you don't think he's the Messiah. He's too ordinary. When the Messiah comes, we'll know it's him. Scripture spoke of the Baptist, and he spoke of the Messiah. The connection is clear. Look, I want more than words. For something this big, that's not asking too much. All I know is I'm confident it's him. Do as you like, but don't expect me to shift until I get answers. If you want answers, go and ask him. All right, forget it. No, hold on. Why don't you ask him? I don't need to. Okay, but then stop asking me why he gave you a new name. All right, then let's talk about the rock thing. No, let's not. Just out of curiosity, why don't you go ask him? I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of him. I still don't understand why he changed my name and why he called me a rock. Rocks don't do anything. They do nothing until someone moves them. So how can it be a good thing to be a rock? Next time I see him, I'm going to prove I'm a man of action. As to whether or not he's the Messiah, I don't know. I saw no sign, unless it was the way he looked at me. But that kind of thing's not a sign. We didn't see him again, at least not as soon as I thought we were going to. And then one day, we were all invited to a wedding feast in Cana. He invited us.
All we know about Peter's first encounter with Jesus is this one line where Jesus changes his name and calls him a new name that means rock. I like to think that there were no more words exchanged and that Jesus chose to keep things simple and mysterious, like much of the Bible. We get only enough information to be a guideline, and we're given plenty of room for meditation and reflection. This is a big deal that Peter got a new name. There's no one else who Jesus gave a new name to. And that's because he is already, from this first moment, preparing Peter for his vocation as the head of the church on earth. As with Peter, Jesus works with us from the very beginning of our encounters to start shaping us for our vocation. Every moment of encounter with Jesus is important, and this is a very important moment for Peter, even if some people might think it's going on a little bit too long about it. Anyway, I think sometimes today we think the apostles had it easy to figure out that Jesus was the Messiah because they saw him in the flesh. But I think it's actually pretty fair. Imagine not knowing that the Messiah has come, and now somebody tells you he's the Messiah. I mean, what do you make of that? There's no previous testimony. We have 2,000 years of testimony. They had nothing but their own testimony. These simple people, tax collectors, fishermen, how on earth do they even comprehend the magnitude that they're the ones following the Messiah? You know, it's like us today. He's in the Eucharist. Many people don't believe. But this little ragtag bunch of people who, still go to Mass and still believe that Jesus is in the Eucharist, that's equally crazy. But in both cases, it's the same Jesus and the same love. Even if, like Peter, we need to figure out if that really is Jesus who's working in our lives.